You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Ann Makovic. Here is a look at some of our news headlines today. Starting in San Francisco, for the first time in years, some cars are driving again along Market Street. The city is allowing Waymos and some Uber and Lyft black cars to drive between Main and 10th. That stretch has been closed to most traffic since 2020. The only cars are allowed during certain off-peak hours, and there are specific pickup and drop-off locations. Mayor Lurie says this is part of his plan to bring people back downtown, but not everyone's on board. Pedestrian and bike advocates point to fewer crashes and faster muni times since cars were banned. The Pickett Fire in Napa County keeps burning into day 5, but its growth has slowed. More than 2,000 firefighters are battling the flames, thick smoke, and tough terrain, working to protect homes and keep that fire from spreading. The Pickett Fire has scorched more than 10 square miles so far. While some evacuation orders were downgraded, many areas are still facing active warnings. This is a map from CAL FIRE showing the spots right now under evacuation orders shaded in orange and brown. Those areas in yellow are under evacuation warnings. That fire started last Thursday near Calistoga. In some spots, helicopters are the only way in, and with no access to bulldozers, fire crews are cutting containment lines by hand. The Bay Area Air Quality Management District has extended its smoke advisory through tomorrow for Napa, Sonoma, and Solano counties. A new lawsuit filed this morning in San Francisco accuses OpenAI and ChatGPT of causing a teen's suicide. The attorney for the family of 16-year-old Adam Rain says the chatbot encouraged and gave instructions in the weeks leading up to the teen's death in April. They allege that OpenAI founder Sam Altman rushed a new version of ChatGPT despite safety concerns and prioritized profit over safety. In a statement emailed to the New York Times, OpenAI said ChatGPT does include safeguards directing people to crisis helplines and referring them to real-world resources, but they admit parts of the model's safety training may degrade in long interactions over time. More witnesses set to take the stand today in the removal hearing for San Mateo County Sheriff Christina Corpus. The sheriff is fighting for her job as she faces allegations of misconduct and abuse of power. During yesterday's proceedings, a key witness hit the stand, Deputy Carlos Tapia, the president of the Deputies Union. He described his arrest last November being taken into custody without a warrant on allegations of time card fraud. His testimony bolstered the allegation that Corpus retaliated against employees who criticized her and abused her powers as sheriff. Legal analyst Steve Clark says that particular incident is unlikely to be grounds for Corpus's removal, but it is an example of a broader theme.
This is the most egregious example of Sheriff Corpus's vindictiveness against her enemies, and I think that's why the county is highlighting it so prominently in their case. But it's not the only one, and they're saying this was a pattern of behavior that Sheriff Corpus would go after her enemies and either transfer, retaliate, or in the case of Tapia, arrest him and publicly humiliate him.
The legal team for Sheriff Corpus says the allegations are mainly caused by people being resistant to her reform efforts. Her 2-week hearing is set to wrap up this week. The judge will then have 45 days to make a recommendation on if she should keep her job. That recommendation going to the Board of Supervisors. All right, let's get a check on our first alert forecast this Tuesday with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, we were off to a beautiful start this work week when it came to daytime highs, and we're continuing that trend today, too. We have 60s along the coast, cloudy skies expected for us there. Sunnier skies widespread throughout our inland areas. A lot cooler compared to average in most of the North Bay spots. I mean, we're talking about upper 70s near Santa Rosa, putting us about 8 degrees below average there. 74 today over into Napa, and we're continuing to monitor the air quality widespread throughout the Napa Valley region. Up into Calistoga area, we're still sitting in that unhealthy air quality index, and we're going to show you that in just a second. There's air quality alerts in effect this afternoon from the Pickett Fire as they're continuing to work on containment of that fire throughout this afternoon. Now, daytime highs today down into the Santa Clara Valley, pretty similar actually off into the East Bay. 80s, 70s widespread throughout all of this region. The winds are going to start picking up into this afternoon. Right now they've been very light for the firefighters and the boots on the ground up near the Pickett Fire, but the winds are expected to get a little bit gustier into this afternoon. Wind gusts today maxing to around 20 miles per hour in places like San Francisco, stretched up into Fairfield, Napa included in on that list too. So what does that do for the surface level smoke? Well, it continues to track it mostly to the north or the northeast, and we're keeping a close eye on that, especially when it comes to the air quality, because right now we're still seeing that unhealthy category for sensitive groups up closer to Napa, stretched all the way up into Calistoga area too. Today is the day to limit your time outside in that region, and I say that just because if you are sensitive to pollutant matter, you want to take good care of yourself. Continue to drink water, clear that throat, limit your time outside, and check in on your loved ones too throughout this afternoon. Now, daytime highs this week, they're expected to rise a little bit more. We're gearing up for 90s as we head into this weekend's forecast throughout our inland areas. It's short-lived. It's really just Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see some warm temperatures, and then we're right back down to average as we head into early next week. Low 70s expected for us today in the Bay. We'll warm up into the upper 70s this weekend, back down to low 70s by Monday.
The city of San Francisco has a vision for its road to recovery downtown, and it is paved with robo-taxis and ride shares along Market Street. Beginning today, Waymos and some Uber and Lyft cars have been given the green light to return to the road there. This stretch between the Embarcadero and 10th has been closed to cars for the past 5 years. But our Veronica Macias talked with a critic who says the city needs to hit the brakes.
Who in San Francisco doesn't want to see a comeback story for the city? Mayor Daniel Lurie rolling out more transportation options here along Market Street, a corridor that he says is vital to the city's revitalization plan. So you want to see people out here going to all the restaurants, all the hotels and the theaters, and there's no disagreement over the fact that everyone wants to see the businesses flourish. However, advocates with Keep Market Street Moving Alliance say opening up Market Street to rideshare isn't going to help, and it simply doesn't align with San Francisco values because it could make it more difficult for people who rely on public transportation, who bike or walk around here. Advocates for pedestrians and bikers say that since 2020, the Market Street corridor has seen a 40% drop in injury crashes, and muni time has improved by 14%. They're saying that while the hours for the Ubers, the Waymos, and the Lyfts will be limited on this 10-block stretch and assigned to designated areas, during off-peak hours, it's only going to be congested out here.
We want to see Market Street revitalized. We want to see downtown revitalized, but we think that the way to do that is to make it a place that people have reasons to go rather than making it a place for cars, because increasing car traffic does not increase foot traffic.
And while the mayor's office is going to be rolling out an evaluation period for this plan out here on Market Street, advocates are questioning how you measure success with all the data they're going to be collecting once they do assess the program or the plan. And they're hoping still to have an opportunity, advocates, to reverse this decision by the mayor, holding a protest out here on Market Street at 5 p.m. today.
Meantime, another critic, the executive director of Streets Forward, said, quote, Mayor Daniel Lurie is taking a high-stakes gamble with Market Street and downtown's recovery, decreasing the number of people who can safely and efficiently get to Market Street. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, police promising to clear out a San Francisco street that's notorious for drugs and homelessness. But will this just move the problem from one area to another?
You can't clean up this spot and where are they supposed to go? It's taking too long to get people inside.
Plus, an affordable housing project breaking ground after a long-fought battle, how the developer used a years-old law to force the city's hand.
It wasn't a yes or no anymore. It was, this is going to happen.
Well, we were off to a beautiful start this week when it comes to daytime highs, and we're continuing that trend today too. I mean, mid-80s in our inland spots today. Cloudy skies in the morning, clearing up into the afternoon hours, and then we're ditching the clouds completely. We're seeing sunnier skies and some warmer weather as we head into this weekend's forecast. We'll be back into the low mid 90s by Saturday and Sunday, back to average as we head into early next week. So a warm weekend right around the corner for us, but we're not even close to it just yet. For our friends in the Bay, San Francisco, Oakland, we're seeing low 70s today and tomorrow. Lasting into this weekend, we'll warm up just a hair more into the upper 70s.
Well, the coroner has identified one of the victims from last week's deadly apartment fire in San Rafael. That fire engulfed the complex on Canal Street Thursday. Investigators say 2 people died, including 68-year-old Tracy Lee Lowmiller. The other person who died has not been identified yet. That fire left more than 50 other people homeless. Investigators have not determined a cause yet, but they are calling it suspicious. Tonight, San Francisco promising to clear out one of the most notorious streets for drugs and homelessness. It is the latest move here in the Bay Area to tackle a long-standing issue. Just last week, the city of San Jose cleared out an encampment at Columbus Park and offered people housing at a former hotel. The city of Oakland using a similar strategy at a couple of sites, but the same problem ended up emerging in both cities. Too many people without a home and not enough shelter or hotel space to go around. Now in San Francisco, notices are being posted along 6th Street in Soma, warning people on the streets that they're going to be cleared from the area. The flyer says Public Works and police will ask them to move permanently, and outreach and housing services will be provided. One woman in the area told our Amanda Harry she is selling her stuff just to try to pay for a place to stay for now.
Notices throughout 6th Street, letting unhoused people know they're going to have to go somewhere else, including Ashley Brown.
Hard, way rough, way worse than where I originally come from.
Brown has been unhoused throughout California for nearly a decade, but she'll finally be getting housing in just a few days.
I'm beyond excited. This is my first apartment by myself. It took me 8 years to even get a voucher for my housing.
She's bounced around a lot during that time, and with the notice to clean up this area, she'll have to move one more time.
Honestly, yeah, because then I gotta turn around and I gotta hustle or somehow get the money for 3 days in a hotel, and the cheapest is $60.
She doesn't have a job, but she's trying to find a way to make that money.
I went and got this stuff to try and sell to make money.
She's hoping to sell enough to keep her safe until she moves into her new apartment.
It's not the easiest to sit here and go and get stuff like this to try and get your rent every day.
We've already seen some police officers here in the area of 6th and Howard talking to some people living on the streets and moving them already. This man walked across the street, moving towards 5th and away from the signs that notify people about the cleanup. Amber Jordan was just seeing the notice for the first time.
You can't clean up this spot and where they're supposed to go. It's taking too long to get people inside.
She's been homeless for years and says it's unsettling to constantly have to move.
Yeah, it is, because you never get a chance to have a foundation, something to start from. Your stuff's always taken and you always having to move around everything with you, so you can't really ever do anything.
Brown is confident she'll get through one more move, and she hopes the community will treat unhoused people with more compassion.
We're all not bad, honestly. We're really not. A lot of us are the most kind, giving, generous people.
Well, the flyer that is posted says that any personal property left at the encampment after the sweep will be taken to the Public Works Operation Yard that is on Cesar Chavez Street. After years of setbacks and delays, a new affordable housing complex is finally moving forward in the city. That new development is located on Dejero Street, right off 16th and Potrero Hill. The plans call for more than 400 units, all affordable, along with 6,000 square feet of commercial space. That project was originally planned as market rate homes, but when that stalled out, the developer changed course and took advantage of a new state law that fast tracks affordable housing. But as our John Ramos explains, even though regulations have been relaxed, don't expect a housing boom anytime soon.
Advocates often say the solution to homelessness is to build more homes. And for years, the state has been working to get rid of laws and regulations that stand in the way of that. But now, even with much of that removed, developers say there are still a lot of roadblocks to getting housing built. The new 10-story development at 300 DeHaro Street will add 425 units of 100% affordable housing to San Francisco, designed specifically for working people with middle incomes. It's something that's desperately needed, but under the previous rules,
we would not be standing here because the project wouldn't be entitled, most likely.
Really, it was that restrictive?
It's development in San Francisco is challenging. There's a lot of hurdles, and so a lot of projects either are delayed or are never built.
Mark McDonald is the CEO of DM Development, the company behind the 300 DeHaro project. It was the first site in the state to be approved under Senate Bill 35, a measure passed in 2017 that forces cities to accept affordable housing projects.
It wasn't a yes or no anymore. It was, this is going to happen.
Corey Smith heads up the Housing Action Coalition. He, like most activists, wants to see housing built quickly, but he's had to accept some hard truths.
While we do need to operate with urgency to have this go faster, and we're not seeing a bunch of housing breaking ground today that we would hope for, I have accepted the fact that this is going to be a multi-decade fix. That is just the reality of it, unfortunately.
That's because market forces are holding things up. First and foremost is the increase in construction costs, at one point rising at 1% per month. Also, a lack of capital available as investors turn to safer sectors in a time of high interest rates. Then there was a post-COVID stagnation in rent. In layman's terms, it simply doesn't pay to build housing in the current environment.
First, we had COVID that scared away a lot of institutional investors, and they simply redlined San Francisco and Investment Committee. That's changing now. The narrative around the city is changing now.
300 DeHaro was originally planned as market rate housing, but without the benefit of government subsidies, most of that has pretty much come to a halt. So McDonald's company shifted gears, and now he says costs are leveling off and rents are starting to rise. Good news for developers. And he says the old doom loop image of San Francisco is starting to go away.
So I have seen this movie now 4 times. And everyone leaves San Francisco for dead, and then it rises like a phoenix out of the ashes. It has happened every single time, and it's going to happen this time, and it's happening as we speak.
It took 6 years for the 300 DeHaro project to even begin construction, and it will take a generation for San Francisco to get the housing it needs. But that may actually be possible now that the state and cities have gotten out of the way.
Well, if all goes as planned, the DeHaro housing complex will be finished sometime in the summer of 2027. It's intended for working people with incomes between $45,000 and $95,000 per year. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area. This Bay Area city has a problem: too many geese. Well, they backed off a plan to kill them. So what's the new strategy now?
The solution is let it go, let them live. And let's clean up the goose poop.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
As we head into the next couple hours, we are going to continue to see winds kick up just a little bit more. 15-mile-per-hour winds already this morning into San Francisco, kicking up to 20-mile-per-hour winds just by lunchtime. Yet all the way into the evening hours tonight, it ramps up a bit more in those inland areas. We're including Napa and on that, which is important to note with the Pickett Fire still burning right now up into Solano County with about 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts too. So what that does with the smoke at the surface level is it pushes it mostly to the north and the northeast, places like Clear Lake and Middletown. Those are communities that I want to keep a close eye on, especially when it comes to current air quality. We're still sitting in that unhealthy category just north of Napa downtown. As we head into the afternoon hours today, places like Calistoga, you're still going to want to limit your time outside as that smoke continues to settle its way into the communities. Now, as we head into the next couple days, we're gearing up for sunny skies each day throughout the mid portion of this week. Warmer weather as we head into this weekend, which will definitely be noticeable in our inland spots, places like the East Bay and up into the North Bay, gearing up for 90s heading into this weekend.
Well, for the past several years, this goose population has posed a problem in Foster City. Right now, there are about 300 geese in the area, and at issue is what they leave behind. The city ditched its initial idea of killing some of the birds. Now it's decided on a new plan that some are confident will finally bring change. But as Max Darrow explains, others are questioning the price tag.
That's one family, right?
When Angela Stucker takes
family.
a gander at these geese with her kids Jace and Jade.
Oh, they're so cute.
This Foster City resident sees them as her neighbors.
I realize that they're really cool if you get to know them.
When they stick their head out like this, and sweet means like, hello, how you doing?
The Stuckers leave them be.
And then that one right there is just minding his own business and just eating his grass.
But many of their neighbors have a problem with what happens after the geese eat the grass.
It's feces, it's poop, and it's in our pathways, it's in our parks, it's in our sports fields, it's obviously in our lagoon, which is impacting the water quality.
Parks and Rec Director Derek Schweigert says Foster City leaders have spent years trying to figure out how to manage the large goose population in an effort to reduce the poop. Past city leaders said strategies like fogging, egg addling, lasers, and more just didn't work.
In isolation, they're not very effective. The geese adapt very quickly.
So, a previous iteration of the city council said they'd acquire federal permits to kill up to 100 geese. After public outcry, they backed off. And now, Schweigert says the city has a $400,000 plan that he thinks will finally work, that will also work for the bulk of the Foster City community.
It is focused on habitat modification, which is removing food source from the geese, changing and adapting the environment that is very attractive to them here in Foster City. And that's a long-term solution, but in the meantime, we are going to condition the geese to not be here in Foster City, make this a less attractive space for them.
The strategy will involve drones, dogs, lasers, and more, many of the tools they've used in the past. Only this time, Schweigert says they will be used simultaneously.
It's one thing to come out and say, we tried this activity, we tried this mitigation measure. We did not try them collectively. The geese are here, they're residents. However, our goal is to reduce the amount of conflict that there is between humans and geese.
Spartacus.
But Stucker is skeptical it will amount to change and questions the price tag.
I just don't think that they're going to go away. They've been here forever.
From her standpoint, the geese deserve to remain in Foster City despite the droppings they leave behind.
We have to accept nature for all it is, and this is what comes along with it.
With the new strategy in tow, time will tell if the geese decide to take a gander at a new community to call home.
So that parks director we heard from mentioned that the geese are affecting the water quality. And according to the nonprofit Heal the Bay, Foster City's beaches consistently rank among the most polluted in California this year. Erkenbach Park ranked 6th on the annual Beach Bummers list. 3 other Foster City beaches also made that list in just the past 2 years. But it's not only the geese's fault. I mean, take a look at that map there. Heal the Bay says the city's channel network suffers from poor circulation, making the water stagnant. The CDC is investigating the first human case of a parasite called New World screwworm. Health officials say it is a larval version of a fly that nests in warm-blooded animals and slowly eats them alive. Very frightening. The first human case has been confirmed in Maryland. No information has been released about that patient's condition. But the Health and Human Services Department says that that person recently returned from the U.S. to the U.S. from El Salvador.
So the screwworm is a blue-green blowfly. It's a bit bigger than a housefly. It gets this common name, screwworm, named after the maggot stage, because it's found in the sort of infested animals, and the screwworm looks like it's sort of screwing itself into the flesh as they're eating the animal.
The parasite was basically eliminated from the U.S. about a half a century ago. Health officials say there is no significant threat to the general U.S. population, but it could pose problems for some animals and agriculture. Coming up in our next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, a new push from state officials to get California's long-delayed high-speed rail project back on track. But it's already facing some resistance, the latest on the back and forth over a ballooning budget.
The first parade of its kind rolls into KPIX Plus September 20th. From the smooth rides of the 40s to the flash and chrome of the 80s, watch custom lowriders bounce, hop, and roll with style. Award-winning Chevys, classic Fords, and pure automotive artistry. Join Sarah Donchi and myself for King of the Streets Parade, Saturday, September 20th at 1 p.m. Only on KPIX Plus and CBS News Bay Area.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for being with us this Tuesday. I'm Ann Makovic. Here is another look at some of our news headlines today. For the first time in years, some cars are driving again along Market Street in San Francisco. The city is allowing Waymos and some Uber and Lyft black cars to drive between Main and 10th. That stretch has been closed to most traffic since 2020. The cars are only allowed during certain off-peak hours, and there are specific pickup and drop-off locations. Mayor Lurie says this is part of his plan to bring people back downtown, but not everyone's on board. Pedestrian and bike advocates point to fewer crashes and faster muni times since cars were banned. A new lawsuit filed this morning in San Francisco accusing OpenAI and ChatGPT of causing a teen's suicide. The attorney for the family of 16-year-old Adam Rain says the chatbot encouraged and gave instructions in the weeks leading up to the teen's death in April. They allege that OpenAI and founder Sam Altman rushed a new version of ChatGPT despite safety concerns and prioritized profit over safety. In a statement emailed to the New York Times, OpenAI said ChatGPT includes safeguards directing people to crisis helplines and referring them to real-world resources, but they admit parts of the model's safety training may degrade in long reactions and interactions over time. And the Pickett Fire in Napa County keeps burning into day 5, but its growth has slowed. More than 2,000 firefighters are battling the flames, thick smoke, and tough terrain, working to protect homes and keep the fire from spreading. The Pickett Fire has scorched more than 10 square miles so far. It started last Thursday near Calistoga. All right, let's get another check on our first alert forecast with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, we were off to a beautiful start this work week when it came to daytime highs, and we're continuing that trend today, too. We have 60s along the coast, cloudy skies expected for us there. Sunnier skies widespread throughout our inland areas. A lot cooler compared to average in most of the North Bay spots. I mean, we're talking about upper 70s near Santa Rosa, putting us about 8 degrees below average there. 74 today over into Napa, and we're continuing to monitor the air quality widespread throughout the Napa Valley region. Up into Calistoga area, we're still sitting in that unhealthy air quality index, and we're going to show you that in just a second. There's air quality alerts in effect this afternoon from the Pickett Fire as they're continuing to work on containment of that fire throughout this afternoon. Now, daytime highs today down into the Santa Clara Valley. Pretty similar, actually, off into the East Bay. 80s, 70s widespread throughout all of this region. The winds are going to start picking up into this afternoon. Right now, they've been very light for the firefighters and the boots on the ground up near the Pickett Fire, but the winds are expected to get a little bit gustier into this afternoon. Wind gusts today maxing to around 20 miles per hour in places like San Francisco, stretched up into Fairfield, Napa included in on that list too. So what does that do for the surface level smoke? Well, it continues to track it mostly to the north or the northeast, and we're keeping a close eye on that, especially when it comes to the air quality, because right now we're still seeing that unhealthy category for sensitive groups up closer to Napa, stretched all the way up into Calistoga area too. Today is the day to limit your time outside in that region, and I say that just because if you are sensitive to pollutant matter, you want to take good care of yourself. Continue to drink water, clear that throat, limit your time outside, and check in on your loved ones too throughout this afternoon. Now, daytime highs this week, they're expected to rise a little bit more. We're gearing up for 90s as we head into this weekend's forecast throughout our inland areas. It's short-lived. It's really just Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see some warm temperatures, and then we're right back down to average as we head into early next week. Low 70s expected for us today in the Bay. We'll warm up into the upper 70s this weekend, back down to low 70s by Monday.
Well, that Pickett Fire in the North Bay is threatening some of the wine industry's grape crops. Reporter Carter Evans shows us that fire is just one of at least 55 wildfires burning across the western United States right now.
Scary images from Phoenix as a massive wall of dust seemingly brings life to a screeching halt. This time-lapse video shows an apocalyptic scene of dust storm clouds surrounding Arizona State's football stadium. The storm also forced an hour-long ground stop for all flights at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Earlier, the same weather system caused delays at LAX and other Southern California airports as thunderstorms threatened the region. This monsoonal moisture has brought summer rain and thunder and also dry lightning, which can spark wildfires. The brutal heat is also fueling the fires. In Central Oregon, aerial crews are making key drops to save neighborhoods while battling the flat fire. Although it's burned several homes, firefighters say they've saved hundreds more. Here in Northern California's Napa County, more than 2,000 firefighters are battling the Pickett Fire by night and by day. Their mission to reinforce containment lines.
What do we have here?
This is all Cabernet Sauvignon.
Chris Jambois owns a winery on the fire's edge.
It's obviously alarming to have to go through this so frequently.
5 years ago, several wineries nearby were destroyed by the glass fire.
Can the smoke affect the grapes?
They can, yeah. I mean, we lost 2 vintages, 2018 and 2020, to smoke.
Though Jambois says he's been prepared to fight the flames, the future of the grape harvest remains uncertain.
If we do end up losing this crop, it'll be 3 out of the last 8 years. And, you know, we'll have some serious soul searching to do, I think.
Well, now there's a local health emergency here in Napa County because of the fire. County officials are concerned that debris from the fire could contaminate the water, creating a public health hazard.
Well, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District has extended its smoke advisory through tomorrow for Napa, Sonoma, and Solano counties. Republicans here in California are trying to block that effort to redraw the state's congressional maps. Governor Newsom signed that law last week to send the measure to voters in a November special election. The effort aims to give Democrats 5 more congressional seats, part of a bid to counter a redistricting plan in Texas that would likely give Republicans 5 more seats. State Republicans are asking the state Supreme Court to block that November election, saying Democrats violated the state constitution by skipping a public review period.
The people of California created the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to guarantee transparency and robust public participation in the redistricting process, and expressly to end self-serving partisan gerrymandering by Sacramento politicians.
The state Supreme Court rejected a request from Republicans last week. If approved, the new map would be used for the next 3 election cycles. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has an ultimatum for California: enforce English language requirements for commercial truckers or risk losing $30 million in federal funds. President Trump signed an executive order back in April mandating all truck drivers be able to read and speak English. It went into effect at the end of June. Duffy says this is necessary for the safety of the public.
This is a safety issue. Making sure drivers of very heavy 80,000-pound rigs can speak the language is truly a critical safety issue.
So this move comes just days after a truck driver in Florida is accused of making an illegal U-turn on a highway, killing 3 people. The government says that the driver was in the U.S. illegally and had gotten his driver's license and work permit in California. The federal government gave California 30 days to enforce the rule. Well, there have been a lot of bumps along the road for California's high-speed rail project, but state leaders are still defending the plan even as the price tag soars. That project is now estimated to cost more than $120 billion. That is $87 billion over the original proposal. But some Democratic state leaders are doubling down on the project, and they're hoping for private investors. The goal is to eventually have bullet trains run from the Bay Area to LA, and then later expand them to Sacramento and San Diego. 120 miles of rail construction is underway in the Central Valley, but with President Trump threatening to pull federal funding, the authority needs more cash. Republican critics tell our reporter Tori Apodaca the project has been a waste of time and money, and they are not on board.
California's high-speed rail on track for the future or off the rails.
The only thing high speed about the high-speed rail is the high speed of which are wasting our tax dollars.
California Senate Republicans and President Trump, who recently announced he's pulling $4 billion of federal funding from the project, are not on board.
Funding, long-term funding commitment
is what we are asking for.
But the CEO of the California High-Speed Rail Authority joined state Democratic leaders Monday, saying the project isn't coming to a halt. It just needs some help. California voters approved the high-speed rail project to connect LA to San Francisco in 2008, proposed then to cost $33 billion and be completed by 2020. That never happened. Democratic Senator Dave Cortese says it failed because they weren't looking at private sector money. How much of taxpayer dollars, though, have gone into this project and would need to go in to have its completion?
Yeah, there's most certainly billions of dollars that have already been invested in the project, and the project now has in excess of $100 billion budget.
The train tracks would stretch for about 400 miles, connecting Merced to Bakersfield by 2032 and Gilroy to Palmdale by 2038.
This is an economic development project with a rail line in the middle of it.
Cortese says the train will bring more to California than just connection, but economic development along the tracks, like housing. He hopes train riders and the development projects will eventually pay for itself. But Republicans aren't convinced California will ever see a return on the investment.
If you had your money, would you invest in a project that said it was going to be $33 billion? And now it's over $100 billion?
A cleaner way of connecting Californians by transit. Is the cost worth it?
Republican leaders in California want to put the issue ahead of voters again. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., a congressional committee is investigating whether the rail authority knowingly misrepresented the cost of the project in order to get more federal funding. But despite all the setbacks, the project still has public support. According to a recent Politico poll, 62% of the people surveyed say the project should continue, while 38% say it is time to wrap it up. Coming up next here on CBS News Bay Area, we are going to introduce you to a farmer who is turning to high-tech solutions to combat a growing shortage of farm workers.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Well, we were off to a beautiful start this week when it comes to daytime highs, and we're continuing that trend today, too. I mean, mid-80s in our inland spots today. Cloudy skies in the morning, clearing up into the afternoon hours, and then we're ditching the clouds completely. We're seeing sunnier skies and some warmer weather as we head into this weekend's forecast. We'll be back into the low mid-90s by Saturday and Sunday, back to average as we head into early next week. So a warm weekend right around the corner for us, but we're not even close to it just yet. For our friends in the Bay, San Francisco, Oakland, we're seeing low 70s today and tomorrow. Lasting into this weekend, we'll warm up just a hair more into the upper 70s.
Immigration raids have put a cloud of concern over farms here in California, leading to a dramatic drop in field workers. Now, a farm owner is taking a unique approach to keep his business alive. Our Itai Had shows us how he is turning high-tech robots into workers during these tough times.
On California's Central Coast, known as America's fruit basket, picking strawberries can break more than just a sweat. But for farmer Larry Jacobs, who spent 4 decades growing some of the most sought-after chives, basil, and tomatoes, the biggest struggle isn't growing crops. It's finding enough hands to work the fields, a challenge made even harder by recent immigration raids.
We've had some people who resign because of the changes. Hey, we're just going to go back to Mexico.
Because they're too afraid?
Yeah, yes.
With nearly 88,000 farm jobs unfilled each year, small growers like Jacobs are turning to high-tech.
This has been an issue for the last 5 years and 10 years, that it's hard to find people to do this work.
From punching holes for seedlings, to shaking nuts from trees, and even scorching weeds with flames, these robots are saving small farms from going under. But even though these machines are ready to work, the law isn't. In California, state regulations prohibit the use of autonomous machines on farms, in most cases requiring a human to stay close by.
At some point soon, I think you'll be able to farm from your office.
Tyler Naide, CEO of Bonsai Robotics, the company behind these machines, says these regulations were written back in the 1970s. when driverless technology was still science fiction.
There's a huge push right now to rewrite this legislation based around autonomy, because we now know things about it. We know how these systems work.
With the average farmer now 58, Jacobs hopes automation might plant the seed for a new generation of growers.
If you can take the grunge work out of it and make it interesting with the technology, that's just going to create a lot of excitement. It's already happening.
And maybe, just maybe, help cultivate a whole new crop of farmers.
According to Bonsai Robotics, the robots start at $13,000 each. That is a price Jacob says is worth it to keep his farm up and running. Coming up here on CBS News Bay Area, these drag performers are honoring the history of San Francisco and creating a safe space for the trans community in the process. We're going to take you inside the riot party.
And there's so much history, so much fight that has happened here to get to where we are today.
As we head into the next couple hours, we are going to continue to see winds kick up just a little bit more. 15-mile-per-hour winds already this morning into San Francisco, kicking up to 20-mile-per-hour winds just by lunchtime. Yet all the way into the evening hours tonight, it ramps up a bit more in those inland areas. We're including Napa and on that, which is important to note with the Pickett Fire still burning right now up into Solano County with about 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts too. So what that does with the smoke at the surface level is it pushes it mostly to the north and the northeast, places like Clear Lake and Middletown. Those are communities that I want to keep a close eye on, especially when it comes to current air quality. We're still sitting in that unhealthy category just north of Napa downtown. As we head into the afternoon hours today, places like Calistoga, you're still going to want to limit your time outside as that smoke continues to settle its way into the communities. Now, as we head into the next couple of days, we're gearing up for sunny skies each day throughout the mid portion of this week. Warmer weather as we head into this weekend, which will definitely be noticeable in our inland spots, places like the East Bay and up into the North Bay, gearing up for 90s heading into this weekend.
Lawmakers in Sacramento are recognizing Transgender History Month. They say at a time when trans rights are under attack, California will stand up for them.
They have built this state. We should tell that story. They will not be erased, and California will not be fair weather friends to transgender people in our state.
The Transgender District in San Francisco is recognizing the month by combining celebration with activism. It's been 59 years since the Compton cafeteria riot in the Tenderloin. To honor the occasion, the district threw a party that raised money for programs that help transgender and non-binary people. Suji Nam spoke with the people behind the campaign.
It's a special night for Nikki J.
Love doing drag. It is my favorite thing. It's the greatest thing I've ever discovered in my life.
She has been producing and performing drag for the last 10 years, highlighting Black and brown and trans performers in the Bay Area.
That's what we're here to do, is create fun for people. You know, that's the best part about drag.
Bringing people together for her all-black drag show, Reparations, for the Transgender District in San Francisco.
Hello, San Francisco. How are y'all doing out there?
The party honors the 1966 Compton's cafeteria riots, an uprising of the transgender and queer community against police oppression. Donations from the party also go toward the district's new multi-year emergency campaign, the Riot Fund.
As most trans-led organizations are being targeted right now in terms of cuts to funding and threats by executive orders that are affecting our community left and right.
The district's co-director, Carlo Gomez Arteaga, says less than $1 out of every $500 from U.S. philanthropic funding goes towards LGBTQ+ organizations. They have a goal of raising $100,000 through the Riot Fund over the next 3 years.
Be able to put it where the need is in community, whether that's more name and gender clinics, whether that's more safety, know your rights, self-defense classes, whether that is accompanying people to courthouses, whether that's creating safe spaces.
Creating safe spaces like these, where the community finds joy coming together.
We are the very first ever in the country, in the world, trans district right here in San Francisco. And there's so much history, so much fight that has happened here to get to where we are today.
Nikki J is proud to be a part of San Francisco history.
Celebrating the past, the future. It feels really great to come together and know that we can overcome anything.
Being her best authentic self while encouraging others to do the same.
All proceeds from the riot party go toward funding homes, businesses, and cultural and historical sites for the transgender community. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your First Alert forecast and another look at your top stories.